Okay, let's look at the next game. Hello, Ben. This is from Tortolino. I feel like my chess skills are fading away. In this game, I apparently threw my advantage away when I played knight g4 because I didn't see knight d1 from my opponent, engine move. But I still don't understand how sacrificing the bishop on h3 first helps. Sounds like a Shirov question. Thanks for any clarification, and remember to laugh at me for asking a serious question for a 3-minute game. Okay. Now, what's funny about this is based on Tortolino's description of the game, it sounds like maybe he didn't do very well, when in fact, he won in less than 20 moves. So he's complaining about it. Both players are 1680 on chess.com, and this is a 3-minute game. And Tortolino, who's our hero, has the black pieces. Okay, d5 is a ridiculous move. Obviously, you take. I face d5 sometimes. F5 super aggressive. Ooh, I don't like f4. I would play knight f6, putting pressure on the e4 pawn. Yeah, it's just terrible for white. Earlier in the game, white should have gotten rid of the bishop with knight a4. Now white can't do that. Probably the first chance to do it was here. Play knight a4 and get rid of this bishop. Black can play a6 and keep the bishop. Okay. Yeah, this is just white's going to get mated. a6 is good, keeping the bishop. Okay. Yeah, bishop takes h3 is a fairly obvious move. And then if you take it and play knight to g4, which you don't have to play, you could take on h3. You're threatening f2, and then if they play knight d1, like in the game, then you take, and then the engine says, we play knight f2, and then rook f6, and we're threatening rook g6 mate. I wouldn't want to have white here. The knight's pinned. The king is... and you're sacking a bishop because your queen on h3 is totally crushing the king. There's no pawn cover. And you can do your rook lift. So when you play knight g4, you're blocking your bishop on c8. Now, if I was playing a 3-minute game, okay, I'm definitely taking. And I'm probably just taking on h3. And then it says that this is completely winning. And it says after knight here that you can just take this knight and black's up material and attacking the rook. And the queen can just go back here next move. Although I don't know if I would see queen take c3 because I'm so focused on the king side. In a slow game I would, but blitz game maybe not. Okay, so you played knight g4, and that takes your bishop out of the game for attacking the h3 pawn. So, okay, and your opponent blundered. They didn't play knight d1, defending their f pawn. You still have a big advantage because white doesn't have any counterplay. Yeah, now it's over. Checkmate. So basically you won very easily, and your opponent didn't see the best defense, knight d1. And if they played knight d1, you're still strategically winning, but you're tactically winning if you take on h3 first because you're crashing through. And now you crashed through because your opponent played knight d2. So it's all good. But yeah, if you don't understand why bishop takes h3 is a good move, just use an engine and play white. You don't have to use the engine to play white. You can say to yourself, I don't understand why bishop h3 is good. I'm going to play white and refute that. So you play the moves you think are good for white that make bishop h3 bad. Then you see what the engine's response is. And then the engine's going to give variations where black is checkmating white and winning all of his pieces. That's the reason. The reason is concrete. It's not like develop your pieces in castle and play in the center. It's like you take, there's variations, and they win for you. This is a big problem with a lot of lower rated players, is they don't understand why moves are good if those moves like don't follow some rules they know, rules that are always ignored by everybody. Because the most important thing at chess is calculating the variations accurately and seeing where they lead you. So if you have a move that doesn't make sense to you, but it's forced checkmate, then it's a good move because it's forced checkmate. And the rules that you follow when you play chess, like developing your pieces and castling and playing in the center and whatever rules you follow, those are important when you have checkmate, because checkmate wins the game. It's assumed when you play boring moves, you don't have moves that win immediately. And when moves win immediately, those are good moves. So if you sacrifice and you checkmate your opponent and take all their pieces, that's good. And whether the moves make sense to you or not don't matter. What matters is you calculate the variations and they lead to checkmate, so it's good. That's very confusing to lower rated players. They don't understand why moves are made, and the moves aren't made for reasons that can be explained to a beginner. The moves are made because you calculate, and the calculation leads to a win. That's called a forced win. So it's in this position, the most obvious move to me is bishop takes h3. And then I would be very surprised if the engine said that was bad. And I'm not calculating, I'm just telling you from my own experience. And, sometimes I'm wrong, but it's a 3-minute game, so that makes the sacrifice even stronger. And what makes it even stronger is it's the engine move. But if the engine said this was a bad move, in a 3-minute game, I would expect to win because white's defense isn't easy, and I'm attacking with, pieces against the king, and these pieces aren't participating. So my general sense is this has to be good. The problem with your move is you block the bishop from attacking. So after knight d1, you've run out of steam. You don't have anything to keep going. Still terrible position for white. So yeah. Anyway, you won very easily, and it was a 3-minute game, so I can't really fault anybody for any moves. But somehow you have to differentiate and separate general principles from concrete calculation. Because general principles are good when there's no forced win and there's no tactical operations. However, when there's a forced win and there's tactical operations, general principles don't matter. If you're winning by force, then you do that. If you have mate in 1, you play mate in 1. If you have mate in 2, you play mate in 2. If you win all of your opponent's pieces, do that. That's more important than, whatever you think is normal. And you're banned.